I want to talk about grieving a living parent because I feel like this is something that we don't talk about enough. Getting to the point of accepting that they may never be the parent that we needed. I've this past month I've been doing a lot of videos about the eldest daughter in particular being parentified, maybe experiencing abuse, being neglected, and something that many of us have to wrestle with, have to go through the process is grieving our parents. Parents who didn't provide care to us or for us the way that we have witnessed them care for our siblings, or maybe there was no one else, there were other children, they just were neglectful. Quite often, when we have this conversation about disagreeing with how our parents treated us, it's minimized. Many people will say, well, that's your parent. They did the best that they could. And maybe that's true. Maybe our parents did do the best that they could. However, it doesn't minimize harm that was caused as it relates to their parenting. Dr. Karen Stark said this. She said, you can love your parent and dislike how they have treated you. And for some of you, you may have experienced abuse, neglect, lack of care, lack of nurturance, and it's greatly impacted you. And if you grew up in a family where there were siblings, where you were parentified, where you had adult responsibility, you may have also grown up watching your parents give your siblings something that they refused to give you. And so today I want to talk about grieving a living parent because it's very hard. It's a very unique place to be in because there is no funeral. There's nobody calling you, checking on you. There isn't the sympathy cards. No one is telling you that they're sorry for your loss. But here you're still sitting because the parent that you wanted, the parent that you needed is not available to you. If you're new here, welcome to Heal with the New Sexy, where we discuss all things healing, self-love, and relationships. My name is Cynthia. I am a licensed therapist and coach. I remember not too long ago, Oprah had the podcast about going no contact, and there was a lot of uproar about her identifying it as a trend. But I think the thing is that we talk about no contact from the space of how dare a child not want to be in relationship with their parent. We live in a society where we are supposed to honor our mother and our father, and I believe I don't disagree with that. However, I don't agree with being in a relationship with someone who will chronically mistreat you and cause harm, whether that's emotional abuse, physical abuse. They may have called you names in the past, cursed you out, abandoned you. They may have had issues as it relates to addiction. Sometimes one parent may choose a new spouse over you. They made promises to you that they broke. And I believe that sometimes honor is disconnecting, especially if it's going to cause you harm, cause them harm, cause you to be angry, cause you to want to lash out, cause you frustration, cause you feelings of confusion because why is it that they don't love me? Why is it that they don't care for me? Why is it that they don't see me? Some of you may have become super successful. You've become successful because you want your parents to acknowledge you. You want them to validate you, and they just haven't done that. And so you have to grieve, in my opinion. And the reason why you have to grieve the expectations that you had of them as a parent so that you can accept them for who they are. Now, I don't believe that acceptance means that they are in your life, that they're able to have access to you. But I believe that acceptance allows you to respect how they decide to show up. And if they don't want to have a nurturing relationship with you, you are allowed to accept them and respect their behavior, but then also engage in the process of reparenting yourself. Many of us, there's our inner child that would benefit, I'm not going to say need, that would benefit from us reparenting that child, giving that child the love, the nurturance, the support, the validation that child needs. Sometimes what I see as a therapist and as a coach, women who have been injured in this way, where they've had neglectful or abusive parents, is that when they get into their teenage years, they are looking for love. I know you've heard that song, looking for love in all the wrong places. But what happens is that we will try to substitute parental love with romantic love. And so now you are you're maybe 13, 14, 15, 16, and you are dating. Why? It's because you are looking for love. Then what happens? You may find yourself in toxic relationships because you may engage in self-abandoning, or you may become codependent. Why? Because in your childhood, it was an unhealthy place. Your parents didn't give you the necessary skills to build a foundation so that you could be successful in love and in life. And so you're questioning even now, do people care about me? Do people see me? Do they love me? But when you grieve and you go through the process of grief, you're able to stop hoping that your parent will give you something that they refuse to give you. I think, and I was thinking about this today because I was in a training today. Many, and Dr. Karen said, she said, not everyone should be parents. And there's not enough conversation about that. Many people are having children, but they're not parenting them. They're not giving their children the necessary fundamental blocks in order to be successful. And if your parent didn't give that to you, now I'm not talking about, there are parents who, what I'm talking about is the intentional neglect or abuse of you as a child. That's what I'm speaking of. And I'm also going to say this because sometimes in the comments, people be like I said, they did the very best that they could, or they didn't know. I, as a parent, I am always evaluating how I am raising my son, how I am showing up, how I'm speaking to him, how I'm communicating with him. We have to stop they did the very best that they could. How do you know that they did the very best that they could? Because a lot of times people are coming to the defense of people that you don't know that they did the very best that they could. And you're minimizing the experience of the child that had to live with that parent, that maybe had to fawn, which is a trauma response, in order to survive, in order to make it. If that parent did the very best that they could, then why is that child going no contact? Why does the child not want to have a relationship with them? Or, what's painful? It's painful to continue to reach out to a parent and they reject you. It's painful that your first bully in life was your mother or was your father. The first person to reject you was your mother or your father. The first person to neglect you was your mother or father. The first person to cuss you out is your mother or father. We have to stop saying they did the very best they could when you were not in the house with them. You don't know them. And I think we as a society have to respect when someone says, this was my experience with them. And stop minimizing the hurt, the impact that lack of parenting, poor parenting, neglectful parenting, abusive parenting had on the person. A lot of times we give people a lot of grace and permission because of a title they hold. And we don't have the information or the data about how they truly showed up. So that's why it's very important that we are mindful that we are not defending people that they didn't raise you. There's a difference between, like, when we say they didn't have the best, they did the best that they could. I would accept that as a clinician if I knew this is a parent that went to seminars, this is a parent that read books, this is a parent that genuinely tried. I'm talking about parents who didn't try. Okay? So let's talk about grieving the parent that you wanted. You may be grieving the mother or father that was supposed to be emotionally safe. The parent that was supposed to comfort you versus you comforting them. The parent that was supposed to protect you instead of making you responsible for everyone else. I've received a couple of messages from women saying, she chose her boyfriend over me. She chose her husband over me. And when I shared what he was doing to me, she got angry with me. She put me out. And now she's confused as to why I won't go back home. Because he is still there. And when I go there, he still looks at me. My mother, my father, they didn't keep me safe. You have to grieve the parent that didn't celebrate you, but instead competed with you. The parent who couldn't see your success and simply be proud. The parent who could hear that they hurt you without defending themselves. You want them to say, I know I hurt you. I know I disappointed you. I know I frustrated you. I know I abandoned you. I know I neglected you. I know I favored your siblings over you, and I'm sorry. I know I had bouts of addiction. I struggled with gambling. I know that I showed up to your school drunk, and I'm sorry. I know I physically abused you, and I'm sorry. I know I didn't value you. I know I told you I silenced your voice, and I told you that you should be seen and not heard, and I made you feel like you weren't worthy of love. And I'm sorry. You may be grieving the parent that was supposed to be present, that was supposed to model for you what a healthy adult looked like. You may have grown up in a home with domestic violence, and you didn't know what a home was like without there being chaos. Parents who weren't interested in your inner world, and you experienced this. But you wanted parents that were interested in your inner world. You wanted a home where there wasn't chaos, where it was peaceful, like you saw on TV, like on the Cosbys, or some of these people now are so problematic. I would also, like on TV, they portrayed to be this, but being able to have a family dinner and everybody talked about their day. A dad that would throw the ball with you, a mom that will do your hair at the end of the day. Parents that hugged you and told you how they loved you. Not living in a home where everybody was essentially in their own world and nobody met. I have done therapy. I don't work with children anymore, but I remember early on in my career working with children specifically who had a diagnosis of oppositional defiant disorder. And I would be, after a while, you get to know them, you get to know the family. It's like, this kid is not defiant. This kid is hurting because they're neglected, because they're not seen, because they're not heard, because they have a whole lot of responsibility on them. And going back to what I was talking to before about, when your parents aren't loving and caring and nurturing towards you, and you get to the certain age, you start dating, they want to call those girls fast. Those girls aren't fast. They're looking for someone to love them. And sometimes, unfortunately, they fall in the hands of the wrong man because their parents didn't parent them, because you didn't get the nurturance and the care that you needed. Instead, you grew up with a parent that may have been hypercritical, that was harsh, that was intentional, of being cruel to you. Let's talk about why this is so painful. So there's a psychological concept called ambiguous loss. It describes a type of loss where the person is physically present, but something about the relationship is absent, whether it's psychologically or emotionally absent. Because this is the thing, you could call your parent, you can see them, you can text them. They may even sit across from you, because during the holidays are getting ready to come up. But the relationship that you needed, you wanted, the relationship that you may even crave today is not there. And that creates a particular kind of pain. I remember working with a young lady, and she was just so devastated by how her father was treating her, that he didn't see, out of all of the children, he treated her differently. And she said, I don't understand. She said, I'm his baby girl and I don't understand. She longed to have a relationship with her father, to be able to hug him, to be able to go and sit in his lap and put her head. She longed for that relationship with him. And she's like, I see him give it to everyone else, but he won't give it to me. She said, I have apologized to him. I've told him I'm sorry. I've asked him what can be done. And nothing. For some of you, grieving a living parent there may be a mistake that you made. And by mistake, anything. I've seen many of things that are just a part of life, but in the relationship with your parent, they see it as a mistake. You've done something that they didn't approve of, and now they're withholding affection towards you. And It takes two people in order to have a healthy relationship. And for her, I told her that. I said, you have to grieve this relationship, because until he decides that he wants to be the father that you're longing for, you can't make him. And she was like, well, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that. I said, tell me all the things that you've done already. You've done more than enough. He is making a decision not to give you access to him that way. There's not more that you can do. And sometimes it's true that we begin to perform to see if that will get our parents to approve of us. But you shouldn't have to perform for love, especially from that of a parent. You shouldn't have to do that. So this ambiguous loss that you are experiencing, this grief that you are experiencing, this why don't they love me? Why don't they care for me? Why don't we have the same relationship that I see them having with others? How come they could be laughing and be happy, and then I walk in the room and all of a sudden they scowl at me, they're hypocritical of me, they pick on me, they minimize what I do, or in front of people they praise me, but behind closed doors there's someone different towards me. I want you to know that you cannot heal what you're still trying to negotiate with. The young lady that I was working with, she was still trying to negotiate. She was trying to determine what it was that she could do in order for her father to give her the love that she wanted from him, that she knew that he was intentionally withholding from her. But you have to stop negotiating and come to the place of accepting that your parent may not be giving you what it is that you need or want intentionally. They have decided that they want to be in a toxic and unhealthy and unproductive relationship with you. Chronic abuse, chronic neglect is not a mistake. It's not happenstance. There's a young lady who does content. She's a coach. I'm forgetting her name right now, but she specializes in a Black mother wound. We have to understand that people who are abusive are making the decision to abuse. It's intentional. But in order for you to heal, you have to stop negotiating with it. You have to pick the heart of staying and understanding that this person is going to continue to hurt you, or disconnecting from the relationship, because you deserve a life of peace. You deserve a life where you are cared for. You have to get to the space of knowing that your mother or your father may never become nurturing. Your mother or your father may never show up for you the way that they show up for your siblings. Your mother and father may never give you the apology that you deserve. They may never apologize for what they did. Not never. They may never understand why you needed them differently. And you have to understand that you cannot make someone develop capacity for you in the way that you needed them. And a trap for women quite often is that we feel like we can help somebody develop capacity. So whether it's our parents or a romantic partner, we are trying to help people develop capacity versus respecting them and how they decide to show up, or the capacity that they have. You can't make anyone develop capacity. You can't make them apologize. You can't make them see it your way. But you can come to the place of respecting who they are and make a decision whether you are going to, and in my mind, if somebody's causing you harm, let me be very clear, because I don't want anyone to stay connected to anyone causing them harm. In my mind, if someone's causing you harm, then they don't deserve to have a relationship with you. I don't care that they're your parent. If they are hurting you, if they are harming you, you have a duty to protect yourself. You have the duty to protect yourself in ways that they refuse to. And I know that may be hard, because we have been conditioned to give love to people, right? Especially if you're parentified, you've been conditioned to give love. You've been conditioned to overfunction. You've been conditioned to sacrifice yourself for the well-being of others. But meanwhile, nobody's doing that for you, to include the people, your parents, who raised you to do that. They didn't demonstrate sacrificial love to you, and that's why you do it. They forced you to sacrifice, and that's why you do it. And now your only way of knowing and your only way of being able to function is to overgive. And I want to say this: accepting who they are, again, doesn't mean that they have access to you. Forgiving them. I did a video on toxic forgiveness. I'll put it up here so that you can watch it. Forgiving them doesn't mean that they still have access to your life. You can forgive someone, and the forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. You can forgive someone, but they don't have access to your life because of the harm that they caused you. The harm, in my opinion, that was very intentional. All right? Because you can forgive your parent and still change the relationship. You can have compassion for your parent and still limit your access to them. You can have boundaries in that relationship, and you don't have to override, and don't allow other people to guilt you into overriding yourself and your mental and emotional, physical, financial well-being. You can maintain a relationship with your parent at the level that their actual capacity allows, not the level your fantasy of who they could become requires. We always respect someone's behavior. We always respect their behavior. A lot of us we've fallen into what someone says, but you have to respect a person's behavior. And if they are showing you that they don't have the capacity to love you, if they are disregarding how you are telling them that you want to be treated, how you are attempting to teach them how to treat you as an adult child, then you have to make some decisions. My son will be 11 soon. He's always teaching me how to treat him. Just because I'm his parent doesn't mean I know him. And for some of us, we have attempted to teach our parents what we needed, what we wanted, how to take care of us. There have been parents that weaponize respect. You're not going to disrespect me. I'm your mother. They've weaponized their titles. Because there's a difference between a title and a function. Title is mother. Function is nurturance, support, protection, care, discipline. But the root word of discipline is discipleship. So I'm not just saying being physically and verbally abusive or spanking. That's not what I'm saying. See, there's the title and the function. Many of us had parents that had title, but there was no function. When you have a job description, there's a title. But then it tells you all the things you have to be able to do. And many of us, the title of parent was weaponized against us because they weren't functioning that way. And unfortunately, you had to suffer. And that's why I think it's very important that you have to grieve who you needed them to be, who you wanted them to be, so you can get to the place of accepting them for who they are. But accepting them doesn't mean that they still are able to be in your life. And I want you to know that you may have to grieve without getting closure from them. And this is probably very hard because many of us want them to acknowledge how they treated us. They abandoned us. They neglected us. They cursed us out. They accused us for being fast. They accused you of being selfish when they just kept taking from you. And there was one time you said, no, now you're selfish. They made you take care of other siblings. There was a young lady in the comments who talked about how she had to ride the bus, public transport to school. Then she had, after school, ride another public transport to pick up her siblings, to get home, cook, clean, and homework. And that is too much for a child. And in some of the conversation, it's getting missing because some people have normalized it. That is too much for a child. And let me say this specifically for women of color. In previous videos, we've talked about weathering. We've talked about parentification. But there is research, and there's research out there that talks about how 5-year-old girls, Black girls, are seen as more mature than their white counterparts. And I think that's why there's a lot missing, that when I'm having this conversation, many people are like, well, that's normal. It's not normal for a 5, 6, 7-year-old child to have to take care of another child, an infant, to have to anticipate people's needs. We didn't have the development of our frontal lobe to be able to do those things, but it was put on you. And nobody talks about the pressure of having to be perfect to make sure you get it right. Because if you did it, you were going to be handled harshly. You were going to be harmed for not functioning in an adult capacity when you were a child. And I think that's part of it that some people are missing in the comments. It's not okay to put that level of responsibility on a child. It has adverse impact. It is harmful. There's a difference between a mother being at home and saying, hey, baby, can you go get that bottle for me? Versus a child waking up in the middle of the night, fixing a bottle, taking care of the infant, going back to sleep, having to get up and go to school in the morning, coming home, having to do their homework, having to cook, having to clean, having to tend to that child. Meanwhile, the parent may be struggling with addiction. The parent may be not in the home. And so they have to take on adult responsibility. And if they don't do right, then they are handled harshly. It's not okay. It's not normal. So some of you may have to grieve without getting the closure from your parent, without your parent acknowledging how they wronged you, how they disappointed you, how they abandoned you, neglected you, forfeited being present in your life. Because your healing can't be dependent on the apology. Your healing can't be dependent on them acknowledging how they hurt or harmed you. And you have to move. See, sometimes even with this, an apology doesn't equal repair. Repair is actions that are meant to rebuild and reestablish a relationship. Your parent can apologize, but if there is no repair there, you have to be prepared to grieve them without their assistance. Repair is action. Apology is a statement. And so you have to grieve them because many of them are not going to repair. I want you to know that this grief has purpose, and I don't want you to rush through it. Grieving allows you to put down who it is that you wanted, that you needed, who you were hoping for them to be. That's the person that you're grieving. So you can get to the point of acknowledging them for who they are. Many of us are grieving the parent that we hoped them to be, the parent we wish they would be one day. And we're not acknowledging the parent that they're deciding to show up as. And once you grieve them, then you can self-parent. You can reparent yourself. You can begin asking yourself, what do I need? How do I need to be loved? How do I need to be nurtured? How do I need to be cared for? And you provide it to yourself. You give you what it is that you need. But you also can begin to create a community of people that provide care for you. Because something about the eldest daughter or children that are parentified, you may notice that there's people in your environment who are similar to the people you were raised around. So they take from you. They don't pour into you. They don't contribute to you. They don't validate you. They don't affirm you. They don't support you. So when you repair yourself, you have to be also prepared for some of your relationships to end. Because you'll understand, I'm worthy of love. I don't have to just serve for people to love me. I don't have to overfunction. I don't have to overgive. I can be secure myself. I can be my authentic self. I can show the world who I really am. I can comfort me. I can praise me. And by praise, meaning I can affirm me. I can do affirmations. I can validate myself. I can love me in ways that I've been waiting for people to love me. I can give myself what my parents refused to give me. Grieving a living parent is a very hard thing to do because that parent is still alive. And there are going to be people who don't understand why you've decided to do this. And I believe in moving in silence. I don't believe that you have to go and tell and make announcements on the things that you're doing. But you're allowed to grieve the mother or the father that you needed. You're allowed to grieve the care that you never received, the apology you never received. You're allowed to grieve the childhood. You're allowed to grieve that you were not seen, you were not heard, you were not validated, you were not supported. You're allowed to grieve that. You're also allowed to grieve how it may have adversely impacted your life. How maybe you didn't start at the finish line. You had to start way back. because 0 to 18 was the foundation of your life. And while other people may have had parents that were very intentional at that time and at that space, you didn't have it. And so now, even as you navigate life, you feel like you're behind. You're allowed to grieve that. You're allowed to tell yourself the truth about your childhood and what you experienced. And so I want you to know that this doesn't mean you're bitter. It doesn't mean that you're angry. There are going to be some people who falsely accuse you in what you're doing in this season, but it's very necessary for you. My name is Cynthia. This is Heal the New Sexy. Until we talk again.